What an episode. Welcome back! So this video is going to be on episode 12 of How to Get Away with the Murder 6th season, titled Let's Hurt 'Em. It's going to be a recap along with some analysis and theories for the remaining 3 episodes, and oh yes, there will be spoilers, but before we get started, thank you for watching. I do post new content weekly, so don't forget to hit subscribe and that thumbs up to see more videos like this one. I also do take my top 3 favorite comments from my last video and then feature them at the end of this one here, so be sure to stick around for that. Before we dive into this whirlwind of an episode with reveals left and right, it makes the most sense to just review the show in order, so that's what we're going to do, starting with where we left off at the end of episode 11. Okay, so we started seeing Connor running, which is very reminiscent of season 3, back after Wes had died, and then Connor went running and he almost walked in front of a bus because he felt guilty because he thought he killed Wes. Anyway, cut to Gabriel explaining that the FBI did kill Asher. Better yet, Agent Pollock, or aka Agent Murderer, which is what I'm going to be referring to her as for the rest of this video. Now in this scene, and you know me, I was watching Oliver like a hawk, and he seemed to be acting the most abrasive towards Gabriel, even resulting in him throwing him out. At this point, it's actually hard to tell if the gang actually believes Gabriel, but of course Oliver does. Trying to throw me off his scent. I'm on to you, Oliver. Anyway, the segment ends full circle with Connor thinking he was being tailed while running, but I really don't know. Now expand on this a little bit more in a later scene that hella made me think Oliver is a mole. And before that though, Tegan and Annalise are on their way to court because they're petitioning to extend her house arrest to Kaplan and Gold, and then they run into our boy Robert. So he wants to help, and AK's like, hell no, and then Tegan interrogates him and then sends him away like a dog, which I found delightful. But at this point, I think it's becoming clear that Tegan is getting a little protective. Tegan is still a wild card for me, even though I love her to death, but they took her from being the side character to a fan favorite, even though she could still potentially be a little suspicious. There's a whole thing about Emmett's death and then hiding Laura, which I still think there's more to, and then her working with the Castillos back in the day. Part of me thinks Tegan is just being protective because she's falling for Annalise, and this becomes way more apparent later on in the episode, but if Tegan was out to do damage, she would actually be the right person for the job. She literally has Annalise's fate in the palm of her hands. But I can't think like that because I love my girl Tegan too much. So they get the house extension to C&G approved, but then the blonde lawyer lady, and yes, I know her name is Deanna Montez, but I like saying blonde lawyer lady better, decides that she wants to go for the death penalty. That escalated quickly. So the death penalty gets denied for the Asher murder accusation, but not for Sinclair. Side note, this episode did have a lot of cutting back and forth between AK and the kids, so now we're back at the Keating pad, and Michaela's talking to her lawyer on the phone right after she turns on the shower, and then Connor and Oliver barge in, and I'm like, that's rude, and why is this scene taking place in the bathroom? And then I realize that's because they think the house is bugged, which it very well may be. Regardless of that though, they find out that Annalise is getting the death penalty, and then they start feeling guilty. I mean, God forbid you feel guilty about testifying against a woman that's done nothing but try to protect you from going to jail. Oh, that reminds me of a theory I have later. Don't let me forget. What was I saying now? Oh, so Tegan wants to get the death penalty thrown out by filing an appeal at the AUSA. Whatever that is, me don't know law. But Annalise, Bonnie, and Frank think it's the Castillos and Governor Burkhead behind it, so they're like, filing an appeal is just a waste of time. Anyway, Vivian shows up and then offers Annalise an ultimatum, and this will not be the last ultimatum in this episode. And one of them royally everybody. This one, though, is Vivian offering up top secret information in exchange for Gabriel remaining anonymous if he decides to testify against the blonde lawyer lady with the FBI killed Asher news. Oh, and obviously Annalise finds out that Asher was killed by Agent Murderer, but we're gonna put this conversation on hold because Annalise gives Vivian her famous bye girl, and then goes to Frank and has him check up on Agent Murderer, and we all know what that means. So Bonnie wants to tell Nate because she thinks it could turn him back to their side and hold on to this idea because it does loop back around later, but AK's like, nah. Then Tegan walks in and she's like, what's going on? She demands to know, so they lie, and then they don't lie. So then she finds out that Asher was killed by the FBI, and I really hope at one point Tegan finds out the whole truth. First off, it's only fair that Tegan know exactly what she's getting herself into, and then second, it's gonna be kind of hard for Tegan to fully represent Annalise in court if she doesn't know all the ins and outs of everything that happened in the last 6 seasons. And I'm pretty sure she could actually watch 2 or 3 of my last videos and kind of be good to go. Okay, and then this is where things get interesting. So Vivian goes to see Gabriel and then tells him about the offer she gave to Annalise. That's when Gabriel plays Vivian the recording of Frank threatening him. And I'm actually starting to see the importance of this recording, and it ties into a theory I have a little bit later. Before we discuss that though, the name Hannah escapes Vivian's mouth. And before we move on, I want to thank Dr. Dylan Roberts for putting me on to this idea. He brought it up last year in one of my old videos, and I got obsessed with it and just started connecting the dots all the way back to season 1. You know, I'm not gonna spend too much time on this because Hannah Boo Boo got her own damn video. Point is, Gabriel doesn't know who Hannah is. And go ahead and hold on to that idea because I do tie that back in a little bit later too. But Vivian explains that Hannah knew Frank's family. And she's also part of the reason why they decided to stay away from the crazy Keatings. So Connor and Michaela are trying to get out of their immunity deals, and Michaela goes to see her lawyer with no luck, and they're scared to tell anyone about the FBI killing Asher because they think the FBI could just easily kill them too. And then now we're back to Frank. He finds Agent Murderer, and then it leads him back to Xavier. That was easy. A little too easy. So yeah, Frank abducts Xavier, Bonnie's freaking out, and then we finally start to get some answers. Before that though, Xavier knows about the car accident that killed Annalise's baby that Frank caused because he took the money from the Mahonies, and that got my West senses tingling. But that's all for now. Okay, so Tegan goes to see the blonde lawyer lady and then throws the Castillos and Governor Burkhead into the conversation, and then blonde lawyer lady doesn't flinch. Is she corrupt? I mean, obviously, but she acts like she ain't, and then Tegan and AK powwow about it. They try to discuss ways to get the death penalty overturned, and that just leads to this beautiful scene of Tegan swooning over Annalise. And then in turn, it leads Annalise to the most amazing idea ever. In the most brilliant chess move I have ever seen, Annalise arranges a press conference, and she targets the racist, corrupt government to get people to rally behind her. Just thinking about this scene gives me chills. So Michaela, Connor, and Oliver are watching it at their place, and then Gabriel and his mom are watching it at his. And then get this, Annalise says she's gonna deliver proof, I repeat, proof of her innocence in court. Huh, that's interesting. When did we start spelling proof like Wes? Tell me this isn't a nod that Annalise has a secret backup plan that no one's going to see coming. Side note, the best line of this episode goes to...
But I have proof, and I can't wait to show all of you.
This bitch says your name.
I swear I died when she said that. Next up, and I'm only saying this because it ties into something a little bit later, but Bonnie tells AK about Frank finding Xavier, and then they worry. So back to Frank and Xavier. So Xavier dangles Laurel in Frank's face in order to get set free, but Frank devotes himself to Bonnie. And I'll be completely honest, I've been questioning Frank's devotion to Bonnie ever since he started planning this romantic let's run away from the law getaway. But I think this episode made it a point to solidify Frank and Bonnie's romance. Totally means one or both of them is gonna die or be arrested because everyone knows when someone starts making plans to leave this crazy life behind in TV and movies, it means one of them is going to die. So Solomon now shows up and wants to talk to Michaela about her trying to get out of her immunity deal. But first, it might have just been me, but did the song during the scene seem a little off? Like it just didn't seem to fit? But that's besides the point. Do you remember the scene back in episode 10 where Solomon and Oliver are trying to convince Connor and Michaela to take the immunity deal? Well, we get the same thing here with Oliver and Solomon trying to convince Connor and Michaela to keep the immunity deal. Okay, I'm 100% sure that Oliver and Solomon are working for the same person. Solomon I get, especially after coming across this crazy theory that's going to be featured in the Hannah Keating video, but Solomon did rat out AK's location and he tells Michaela that in the scene. And they bond. And they connect, and it's actually a very touching scene for the development of their relationship. What I don't get though is Oliver telling Connor to keep the immunity deal for him, to lie on the stand for Oliver, so Oliver can take all the guilt. I swear, he flip-flops more than a politician. He was the first one to believe Gabriel about the FBI killing Asher. Now he's like, forget that and just lie about it. Oliver, I love you, but I just don't trust you. So Tegan and Robert have another interaction. Robert calls Tegan out on liking AK, and then Tegan look here boo-boos him and throws him out. But in all actuality, I mean, he's right. It's a conflict of interest for both of them, really. But from this point on, it really looks like Tegan is just as big of a fan of Anna Legan as I am. Anyway, Annalise gets another idea after having a chat with Bon Bon about Frank's devotion to her, probably yet another hint that they won't be getting a happy ending. And speaking of Frank, we finally get some more answers. And keep in mind, this is all coming from a man who's been severely beaten at this point, so some of this might not be true, but apparently Agent Murderer isn't working with the FBI, she's working on her own, so it was just the Agent Murderer that killed Asher and not the FBI. That's all for now. So remember that other idea Annalise had? It was to see Nate and offer him an ultimatum. I have the man that ordered the hit on your father tied to a chair, and he's all yours as long as you testify for me in court. Nate confirms he's the informant. He don't give a f. Anyway, Nate goes to see Xavier, and he's back on Team AK. for now. And while Nate's interrogating Xavier, Frank's on the phone with Bon Bon. She's like, did he tell you where Laura is? And Frank's like, nah, I don't care. You my ride or die, girl. All right, now it gets juicy. Gabriel goes to see the kids again. This time, though, he offers them an ultimatum. And I told you there was a lot in this episode, but he wants to know what really happened to Sam. And if they don't tell him the truth, he's gonna tell AK that they're the informants. But get this, after the kids deny it, Gabriel then says, well, why did Asher and Hannah say that Wes had help then? We just got Hannah and Wes in the same sentence. But here's my thing. Vivian just told Gabriel about Hannah, but now all of a sudden he's quoting her? And I mean, sure, Vivian could have told him a little more details, or he could have done his own research, but I feel like they would have showed us that. I think Gabriel's been in contact with his auntie well before Vivian ever mentioned her to him. Anyway, I don't know why everyone's talking about this Hannah person like she has something to do with this. So Michaela throws Gabriel out, and then Michaela and Connor go to see Annalise. Okay, so Connor recorded Gabriel telling them about the FBI killing Asher. They want AK to use it to remove the death penalty because they're not aware that she's being charged for Asher's murder and St. Clair's murder. And the reason she's being charged for St. Clair's murder is because Michaela and Connor are going to be testifying as the informants. Naturally, Annalise accuses them of being the informants, Michaela confesses, Connor apologizes, and Annalise found all 3 informants in one day. And I know I breezed over the scene like it was nothing, but it's actually a really good scene. I'm just getting to my favorite part of the episode, so I'm trying to speed things up. So we go to Annalise's AUSA or whatever meeting to appeal the death penalty, and this is interchanged with Nate interrogating Xavier. And we're gonna start with Annalise. It actually goes on for a while and there's a lot of buildup here, but Tegan's doing her thing. She's talking about corrupt government, the FBI, but fortunately it's not enough and the AUSA needs more probable cause to drop the death penalty. And so that's when Annalise reluctantly drops a bomb on everybody and plays a recording. Annalise recorded Michaela and Connor confessing to be the informants and their willingness to help her. Still, she protected Gabriel and threw those damn kids under the bus. But you know what? They're even now, if you ask me. They signed an immunity deal behind her back. She outed their confession. Sounds fair, right? So the FBI raids the Keating pad again and tells them about Annalise's recording. Now, I know AK always has a plan, but I'm not really seeing how turning against the kids is going to be beneficial right now. Well, other than the obvious informant thing. Because if I know these kids, and I think I do, they are going to be pissed about this and not want to help Annalise ever again. I don't know, I guess Annalise really just weighed down her options and getting the kids thrown out as informants was probably a better call. And then she still has that Vivian top secret information to fall back on because she protected Gabriel. And if you have a better theory as to why she would have done this, feel free to comment down below. So the death penalty gets dropped. Thankfully, I genuinely had no idea where they're gonna take this, so I was on edge the entire time. But with no death penalty, does that mean no Eve? Because I know we've been speculating her return due to her name being mentioned, conversation between Ophelia and Annalise, and then Annalise getting the death penalty. So now that that's been dropped, maybe not? Anyway, this is all resolved with a beautiful scene between Tegan and Annalise, and you definitely get to see what I mean when I said that Tegan is committed to Annalise for the remainder of this episode. It is adorable. Well, let's hop on over to our buddy Nate. You know, sweet old lovable Nate. We all love Nate here, right? So Nate's interrogating Xavier, and Xavier's being pretty bad at this point, so keep that in mind, but we get more answers. So again, for me, this is all speculated because the guy has been severely beaten by this point, but he claims that the hit on Nate's pops was all Governor Burkhead's idea. She wanted to discredit Annalise's Supreme Court win and prove that all criminals are still violent, like she called all the shots. She knew Jorge Castillo also hated Annalise, so she recruited him and then got Xavier to do all of her bidding, then also hired Agent Murderer. I've mentioned this before, but I really like the idea of several people that hate Annalise coming together to take her down, and I think this is hinting at that with another kicker in the end. Now he keeps saying that Nate's dad was just a pawn, he didn't deserve it, he was innocent, then he starts pinning it on his own father. He's basically trying to offer Nate an option to kill Jorge in exchange for the hit on Nate Sr., and I'm like, bro, what? Like, what? Dad for dad? Anyway, Nate's like, wow, and then he gets them crazy eyes. Same ones he had when he killed Miller, and just like that, he snaps Xavier's neck. But right before so, he does say the title of the episode. Let's hurt him, i.e. Jorge Castillo. And Frank is pissed. Nate literally just put a target on everyone, and the Castillos, they don't play with everything else going on, Nate. Everything else. You just killed the most powerful mob boss's son. Wow. Okay, last scene. Vivian goes to AK's house and Annalise is ready to collect on that top secret information for protecting Gabriel and keeping his name out of the hearing. So I watched this scene 193 times. It is the best of the episode. So Vivian says she knows exactly who started raging this war against Annalise, and Annalise's response kills me.
Because she's a sad, lonely bitch who thinks I killed her brother?
But yeah, you guessed it, Hannah motherfucking Keating. But no, that's not all. That's not all. Annalise doesn't know, and I quote, what happened between her, Hannah, and Sam. End quote. Okay, I don't even know where to start with this, but I guess first, that was the episode. Second, we got more to discuss. Now, I've rambled on about Hannah Keating a plethora of times, but I got some new speculations. And I was going to include it in this video, but in efforts to not have this video be 45 minutes long, it's going to be separate. So keep an eye out for that while we're on our 2-week How to Get Away with Murder hiatus. And speaking of How to Get Away with Murder, let's go ahead and talk about the title quick. Out of everyone who's committed murder in the core group, Bonnie, Nate, and Frank are the only ones that are still alive. Wes killed Sam. He's dead. Asher killed St. Clair. He's dead. Frank killed Lila, Dominic, and Annalise's baby indirectly, and the list goes on. Bonnie killed Rebecca and Miller, and I feel like there's more, but I just can't remember right now. And then Nate just killed Xavier and pretty much killed Miller. Annalise, Connor, Michaela, and Laurel, who knows with her though, haven't killed anyone. Now, Pete Nowak has stated that everyone will own up to their crimes in the end, and not everyone is going to be getting a happy ending, right? The only crimes Annalise, Connor, Michaela, and Laurel have committed are being accomplices, and also getting someone shot and deported. But Frank, Bonnie, Nate, Wes, and Asher are the murderers on this show. So Asher paid for his crime with his death, but when it comes to Frank, Nate, and Bonnie, I don't think they're gonna get away with murder, and they're gonna have to own up to it, whether it be imprisonment or death. And that's where I think Gabriel's recording of Frank threatening him comes in. It could be used to frame him, or Frank could just be a martyr and decide to take the blame for everyone so everyone can get off free. But let's take a look at Wes, the original murderer. I feel like this is his how to get away with murder story. After all, if he's still alive and he faked his death, that's how you get away with murder, right? Speaking of Wes, and I mentioned this earlier, but I think Annalise's reference to providing proof of her innocence in court is still tied to some secret witness we're just not aware of yet. And I'm sticking with Wes showing up in court as said witness, because he could be the one that proves Annalise's innocence. And like I said before, I don't know law, but can you try a dead man for murder? I mean, Wes left that confession on the voicemail, but I really don't know how that's gonna hold up in court if Annalise is also being tried for Sam's murder. But also, like I said in the last video, it could be possible that Laurel is a secret witness. Or it could be a hell of a lot less complicated, and it could just be Gabriel like Vivian offered, but that would only prove that she didn't kill Asher, not the long laundry list of bodies left along the way. And finally, the Tegan flash forward. After your help in the comment section, I've concluded that it's not connected to Asher's murder at all. I'm assuming that Annalise's murder takes place in the same apartment complex, so when Tegan goes and says she's there to see her client, that client is Annalise. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. I've also read and heard from that one of the upcoming episodes is gonna focus solely on Sam and will provide us with the biggest twist we've ever seen. So there's that. Like I said earlier, there is gonna be a full Hannah Keating theory video. I actually filmed it the same day as this one, so it's gonna be releasing in the next couple days. But until then, let me know your thoughts on the Hannah Keating reveal down in the comment section below. With that said, we're gonna move over to my top 3 favorite comments from my last video. Okay, this first one is from Issa Real. So the theory here comes based off of Pete Nowak's confirmation that the last major twist of the season will be between Sam and Frank, and it's super dark and twisted. So the theory here is that Sam was actually behind a hit woman who went to Frank to cause a car accident that killed Annalise's baby because Sam has a connection with the governor somehow. And this next theory is from Cart Cake Green, and it took me 15 tries to get that name right. My favorite part of this theory is that Wes signed an immunity deal with the FBI to arrest Annalise, but that's only what he wants them to think, and the real goal is to dismantle the system from inside. And get this, theory also states that Robert works for Wes, and that's why Robert was trying so hard to work on Annalise's case. I just think that's really cool to tie Robert into this somehow, because I'm not quite sure where his character is going to lead yet. And the last one is from Rose Girl. And my favorite part about this theory is the foreshadowing of the burning of evidence. You have the burning of Sam's body, you have the burning of Annalise's actual house with Wes, and then you have her burning those files back before she left as Justine. Anyway, I just love me some good foreshadowing, and I kind of like fire, so that was weird. I should probably cut that out. Alright, thank you so much for watching, everyone, especially if you made it this far to the end. I know this was a long video and could have been longer, so I appreciate it. Don't forget to comment below with your thoughts, theories, and predictions. We are down to the last 3 episodes, people. Make it count. I've also started reviewing season 4 of the show Insecure, so if you're interested in seeing that or any of my other videos, feel free to click one here. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up, it really helps me out. Then subscribe with a side notification bell. Until next time, shine on, you crazy diamonds.